Hello, good evening. So we made it to Friday, which is cool. And I am very grateful to be able to be here with you guys tonight, given how my family had lost power yesterday. Um, it was crazy. Like outside, you could hear the transmitters blowing. It sounded like a cap gun, but like way louder. Think of that sound, but louder. It was like pop, 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 pop. And so Tim went outside and he saw that the top of this pole was literally on fire. And then that's why it eventually fell down. So when he saw that, he called 911. And so, all these people arrived, including like the firemen and the police and so forth. And it took them all day, but they had like take that old pole out of the ground and put a new one in and get it all set up with everything. So we had gotten the electric back in that evening. So we had just went out and gotten dinner last night since our house was dark. But that with my tarot humor, I was thinking this is so literally like a tower moment. And then today, it's been, I would think, a pretty good day. So I have been watching Interview with a Vampire on AMC, and I had heard a lot of mixed reviews on it, and I'm happy to report I actually like it. And I feel like it stayed true to the characters, but it's not like a duplication of the original, and it's worth checking out. So that's in a gist, kind of like what I've been up to. And I'm happy to report, so Maddie wants to hang out with me and get girl time. So we'll hang out tomorrow and have lunch. So I'm looking forward to that while Tim and Noah go off and, they're going to do Waffle House and they're all excited about getting the hash browns. So yeah, pretty cool. So that's enough of my minor arcana narrative with my life with a little touch of tower in there for major. So tonight we are going to cover the Four of Cups. And I'll hold this up here and just kind of take in what you're seeing in the picture. Okay, look at the character, look at the face and where, the character's facing, the body position, the colors of the card, the background, and very much trust what your gut intuition tells you about this card. And so I'm going to go over the different symbols on the card. So right here is the Roman numeral for 4. And so what we have here is a gentleman. And if we were to actually be in this card with this person and approach this person, think about it. You wouldn't really want to talk to that person because it would look like maybe you would assume maybe they got done with like some sort of like disagreement with somebody there, if you had a rapport with them, you might want to be like, hey, do you want to talk? Are you okay? But let's say you don't know the person at all, or you're not going to really want to strike up a conversation. So what we have is this young man. He's definitely not old. He looks young. And he's sitting on top of this hill that is green. So there's good there. There's growth and abundance. And if you look at his face, it's like the 3 cups are right here. And then the universe, which is very similar to our Ace of Cups card, is offering this new opportunity or perspective. And he's not even looking at it. He is just he looks to be very bummed out, disappointed, bored, a bit removed from the situation. He looks like he's reflecting, and he's not even noticing this opportunity. And the cups here are upright. And from looking at them from this point of view, we don't know if those cups have water in them or not. And so he's leaning back against this tree Okay. And behind him, there's other trees, and the sky is blue. So it's like a calm setting. And so when we get this card in a reading, it can mean different things. So let's say from the perspective, because we don't know, we cannot see directly into these cups could symbolize bad interactions. This could be, the common things, relationships, okay, whatever shape or form those take for you, work, finances. Those could be like our failures. If those cups are empty and he's disenchanted from that, and he's so brooding over his failures that he fails to even see this new opportunity, so that's one way of looking at this card. Another is, let's say if the cups are full, okay, and let's say they're evenly full. So we'll look at it from the other side of looking at it. This just goes to show he's not grateful for his blessings, that he would have 3 cups full of fluid. Okay. He's just sitting there. He's not grateful for those cups. And he could be a bit disenchanted or bored. He could even be jealous. So let's say, he's looking at the other side of the fence, like at greener pastures. And he's thinking, well, why don't I have that? And instead of taking the initiative to where there's an opportunity offered by the universe, again, we're touching back on that Ace of Cups. Remember how we talked about how the hand supporting the cup is like divine in nature. So the universe is giving him this opportunity, and he doesn't even notice it because he's so turned inward on himself and so in his head about things, he misses out on an opportunity. So what this could mean would be, for example, for a relationship, it could be that somebody's bored. This could be, for example, like a couple where, say, the chemistry's gone and they feel more like roommates than they do a couple, and neither one of them are happy. So that would be characteristic of this card. Again, very bored, disappointed, morose, and showing the need to maybe, if they wanted to stick it out, then some sort of intervention is needed, or else they would need to call it quits on that relationship. So I see Tim's on here, and there's my mom. Hi, guys. From, say, a career viewpoint, okay, and this is assuming that still the cups, we don't know for sure, but we're thinking that those cups, if they're full, then it could be that someone is they're not trying hard enough at work. They're taking their job for granted, feeling like they're owed something that they're really not. Like, let's say these are all the various good things they get from their job. There's even potential if they work hard enough to advance within their company and do well. But if this person doesn't take control of their own life and their trajectory, then no, they're not going to advance within their profession or their organization they work for if they just don't, again, look to the left, like in this card, assess that there's an opportunity there and take the initiative to improve one's life instead of being so, in their head about it. Another would be finances. So, let's say that, okay, the guy has, let's say theoretically, this person, and again, it's gender neutral. Let's say that they have pretty good, money stashed away. They're getting their bills paid, but they're comparing themselves to their neighbor, like, oh, why don't I have a mansion and a Corvette and this and that? And they're thinking, well, what I have's not good enough, and society as a whole, it's such a materialistic society as a whole that people think that way. Again, if he really wanted all these things, that doesn't have. He's not grateful for what he already does have. He's just thinking of, oh, what could I have instead I don't already have. That would be like this card too. And again, is making that intention and doing the work toward making things manifest. Now, is it meant for all of us to be rich and have mansions and Corvettes? Certainly not. So it would show the need to be realistic, of course. I'm laughing because it's not that easy, or everybody would be rolling in money and mansions and all that, and it's just not realistic. So I think that's important too. Okay, so let's say from another viewpoint, how about if these cups are unequally full? Again, we cannot directly look down into them. We have no way of knowing. So another viewpoint on this too would be if they're uneven, it could be that efforts are made on one party, whether it be this guy or say the person he's in a relationship with, to where they're not equal efforts. There's not equal give and take. And again, with cups, we're dealing with emotions. So it could reflect that. It could be work. If these cups are unevenly filled, or we don't even know, they could even be empty. It could just be like, hey, this is not what I signed up for. It could be him showing up to work, being a team player, and he's doing all this, and he's not being recognized and respected and treated well. So instead of taking the initiative, and that's what this is, it's like an opportunity, and saying, hey, I'm either going to advance within my organization or it's not a good fit for me and I'm going to move on. He just sits and he souls up and he's like all inside of his head. So those are examples. It's all kind of like that saying that we've heard, is the cup half empty or half full, and the perspective related to that. And it also shows, this guy's outside trying to, gain insight, and his back is up against a tree. So to me, when I see this card, I'm also thinking of the need for grounding and objectivity and perspective. So that is a good thing that he's doing. But the bad thing is he's not really open to any insight, even from, say, the divine. So the universe, different ideas. He's very much closed off. He's not in a relaxed position, And another way of looking at this is, we'll briefly touch upon it. So what does this remind you of? When you see this card in reverse, I want you thinking major arcana. I'll give you guys a second to think. And what we're looking at, even though this is a minor arcana card, he's very similar to the Hanged Man. So if we get the Four of Cups in reverse, it could mean that he's not making a decision, okay? He's at a crossroads, and it does show the need, okay? Maybe he needs to get some perspective, and he needs to make a decision and take some action. So it's something how there's all these similarities with tarot, especially as you learn the cards, you pick up on different similarities with these pictures. And so now I'll look at my notes to make sure I didn't forget to mention anything. So when you think of the number 4, and again, I'm skimming over it from a numerical or numerology viewpoint, we always say that 4 is like 4 legs on a table, stable as a table. So 4 in itself is not a bad number. Now it is preceding 5. So say tomorrow when we go into the 5 of Cups, there's going to be conflict. In the 5s of tarot, there's conflict. This is preceding that though. So at this point in time, there is some stability, but this individual is not happy with where they are with a certain aspect or aspects of their life. It could be more than one thing. So let's see here. So some descriptors I have down would be reluctant, not satisfied, unhappy, discouraged, a hesitation to try something new. So again, this is a new opportunity, and they're so inside themselves in their head and so closed off, right? I mentioned the jealousy and comparison with others. Again, dwelling very much inside his own head, disenchanted, not enthusiastic, focused on what he doesn't have, bored with the relationship, job, melancholy of life. So we all have that melancholy. Not every day can be profound and exceptional and exciting because, as many of us, if not all of us know, like reality shows are scripted. That's not real, you know. A lot of life is just the usual ins and outs of, the same thing with some variances. But that's part of it too. Is again, this individual does not have very realistic expectations, and more so importantly, they're failing to take like that ownership by being more so open to different perspective and getting off his butt and leaving that hill and making it happen, making a decision and rolling with it instead of just being discontent. So this shows the need to do some work. And so that is all that I have to cover on this card. So now we'll look at the similar cards here. So here's one. And so we see what appears to be a young man, and he's sitting on this big, beautiful tree with these really deep roots. And he's alone. There's nobody else in the card with him. And see, he's looking away. And like below him, there's these cups. And they are shaded in. But we don't know if that's shadow or if there's anything in that cup. And like I reviewed with the Rider-Waite-Smith card, it's all in how you perceive those cups. Are they empty? Are they unequal? Are they full? Right? It could be different things because we can't directly visualize what's in those cups, right? And so here he is, and it looks like he's just really just down on life. His eyes are open. There's 3 cups that are rooted well into the ground. So they're not, like in this picture, they're not overturned. Even if they're like, say if we have one that's like half full, or even if it's empty, well, there's still a foundation there. They're held in place by the roots of the tree. It would just be taking the initiative to assess what the change would need to be and get those cups filled in whatever area they're lacking. But this shows that this cup, and it has fluid coming out of it. There's definitely some fluid, and it looks like there's like a little tree branch. It looks like the tree's thinking this guy is so not grateful for this cup, so I'm just going to nourish myself. That's what that looks like to me. If you see that, that's funny. So again, it shows that there's an opportunity, but he's not taking it. He's so morose and inside his own head that the tree just gave up offering it to him. Well, if you're not going to drink this awesome concoction that's in this cup, this opportunity, well, I'm just going to take it back because then the tree can nourish itself and then the water doesn't go to waste, So I like that card. Here's another one. And we have this young lady. And so with hers, there's like a rainbow coming out of this one cup. So when I see that, I see just mysticism, beauty, potential, like it's exciting, right? However, she's too busy not even looking at her own cups and working on keeping these cups full, right? She's too busy looking over. Probably looking at a different pasture and thinking, wow, it's so much greener on the other side of the pasture. Why can't I be on that side of the pasture? And, and instead of gaining that perspective and doing the work, if that's really what she wants to do, she needs to get off her butt and do the work involved. But instead, she's too busy feeling sorry for herself, And like in this card, there is a hand here and it's not her own. So it shows that there's opportunity there that she's even failing to notice and, execute and make that happen for her, And then with these cups, again, these look empty to me. So it just goes to show that she hasn't done a real good job attending to herself because of her relationships, okay, whether it be personal or it could be professional or what have you. If the relationships, work, or her financial situation don't meet her standards, it's her job to make sure that these things are being met with all these areas instead of thinking that it's just going to come to her like she's owed something, because like all of us should know, we're not owed anything in life at all. Nobody owes us anything. So unless you're willing to put in the elbow grease and show up and perform and work and just keep these guys evenly filled, then no, she's not going to get to where she wants in life. And again, she's in a beautiful place with blue skies, a big tree that she could be chilling out on, all this beautiful green. She could even grow a garden or flowers. But instead of taking the drive, the initiative, she just sits there thinking, again, the world owes her something, just very in her head and removed, right? Now, with this crow card, the artist did it a bit different. So here, this guy is looking directly at the cup that's offered by, say, divine influence. He's looking directly at it, and he's not taking into consideration the other three cups. And those cups, I mean, again, if there's water in it, we're not going to be able to see them. But inside, they're yellow. So when I see yellow, I think it's very promising. But again, it's all about, is the cup half full or half empty, right? And that goes into different interpretations. So this shows that maybe our little crow friend is not grateful for all the good things in his life and this beautiful green pasture. Not to mention there's all these little sparks of yellow. Now, it does look to be a bit of a rocky terrain. And so when I see this, when we take things for granted and we don't do the work to maintain good relationships, if we don't show up to work and do our best or really balance our finances and we're fiscally responsible, it can lead to some pretty rocky situations, because then our cups are not going to stay evenly full, and that will impact our emotional state. It will stress people out. And it shows he's so busy looking at the other pasture or maybe this new opportunity or new relationship that he's not even taking the time to tend to his other three cups, And in the background, the skies, there's some clouds. So there's a bit of the unknown that could probably accompany this opportunity. And the skies are pretty blue. And I love, look at that tree. How they did the tree in this card. It's like it's water itself. There's like movement there. So to me, symbolically, when I look at the tree in this card, I think of emotion. So water's our emotion mixing into the green, which is growth. So it shows the impact the emotional state can have on, say, growth. And then, I always wrap it up with the one card, which we generally can't make heads or tails out of because it's not based in Rider-Waite-Smith. So this has a cup, and here it is. It's a 4 for the Roman numeral. And what we see, it looks like a lady, and she's holding on to some sort of plant. It's like a vine of sorts. And she's wearing these bunny pajamas. And it kind of makes you wonder, well, how in the world does this card have anything to do with, say, this one? Like, we don't have any common symbols. And the only thing I could think of from an interpretation of this is she's very rooted into the way that she currently does things. And this is a really long vine that is growing from the ground that she's hung on to for a long time. So it shows the need to maybe let go a bit because she doesn't really look happy. She's kind of like looking off, like kind of ahead of her. She's not smiling, you know. And when I see this card, I think of the Christmas movie, A Christmas Story. And my mom probably remembers this because we watched it growing up, and I actually have it. You know, I own this movie. But remember when Ralphie was gifted those pink bunny pajamas, and he goes to put them on, and then he goes back into the living room with those bunny pajamas on, and his little brother starts to laugh at him, and then his parents laugh, and the poor Ralphie's just like standing there, and you could tell he is hating those bunny pajamas. And he thought he was going to have to wear those things, you know, especially it was awkward because it's a Christmas present. So he's like, gosh, he was probably thinking, I don't know if I should say something or if I'm going to get in trouble and be disrespectful if I speak up. And then finally his daddy's like, okay, Ralphie, go and take those off. You're fine. And then he skedaddles up the stairs. Well, I think this card touches on that movie from my viewpoint because it doesn't look like she enjoys these rabbit pajamas very much, but she's not putting forth the effort to go upstairs and change her clothing. She's just waiting on somebody else to show up with a change of clothing, which is giving this unknown person or entity way too much control and power over her life. So if she hates the bunny pajamas that much, she needs to go and she needs to change them and take the initiative to make it happen. So when I pulled this card out tonight, because I don't look at the other cards for the Go Lives. I've used a lot of these decks for years, for the exception of this deck, which I got toward the end of last year because I like the artwork, you know, but it doesn't resound with me like the other ones. But it's been fun teaching with it. Yeah, it's a trip. So I think that wraps us up for the Four of Cups. And then tomorrow I'll tune in at the same time and we'll go ahead and we'll do the Five of Cups. So as of tomorrow, then we're halfway through learning about the Suit of Cups, which is cool. And then as usual on Sunday evenings, I'll do the group reading like I normally do. And I think that sums it up. Feel free to let me know in the comments how you're doing. And I hope that you guys have a good weekend. I hope that you have time to relax and get some stuff done and recharge because that's important. And I will talk to you later. I love you, Mom. Bye.